Head tracking's working good. My controls are responding nicely. And I can yaw as well. Not only that, I can fly dual stick. That took some doing to get to work, I don't mind telling you. So, basically, I have the option. I can set it and forget it, or if I'm in a firefight, I've got direct translation control, and I can do the up and down thing by twisting too, which you really can't tell when I'm out here. Oh man, it worked. That's cool that the motions match. That's so cool. Oh man, this game just looks friggin' amazing too. I love it. I can do better. I need inspiration. Okay, I've made some progress on the design. We've got the chair in there set to the correct angle. I have a couple of monitors drawn in. I plan to upgrade my monitors, so that's a slightly different design. I've got the keyboard and the mouse pad, and there's no point modeling the mouse because why would you? So the next thing is the pedals. However, I have one problem. I am using this Target script editor to create the script that allows me to use hands on throttle and stick. And I would like to use the pedals for when I'm in a land vehicle. However, this is a SciTech, and that does not work with Target. Target only works with Thrustmaster. But it works with this, though. It's a little smaller, but I'm sure it'll be alright. Let me just get my feet up here. Clearly, we need a better solution. I want the comfort and build quality of the SciTech with the circuitry of the Thrustmaster. I smell a project. Whoa, guess it's been a while. Let me wipe away these special effects. Let's talk about game controllers. Physical controls come in two flavors, analog and digital. Digital controls are push buttons or switches. They output on and off. Analog controls are variable. They output a voltage level that corresponds to their position. Most analog controls use one of these, a potentiometer. This is a resistive strip between the first and third pins, and then a wiper, which connects to the twist, is hooked to the second pin. You can show that on paper. Thusly. So the resistance between the outer pins is always the same. That's this resistive track here. The wiper, which is hooked to the center pin, moves back and forth between this. If you were to use just two of these pins, this would effectively be a variable resistor. In our case here, we have three analog controls. We have the left pedal, the right pedal, and the pivot. Let's see what the control board for this looks like. Huh. That's simpler than I would have thought. Oh well. Okay, let's test the potentiometers. We want to know which of these pins is which. And I already forgot. Alright, for the center, we have a 24.3 kilo ohm resistance between red and orange. And then between any two and brown, we've got about 12.5, give or take. So I'm willing to bet that brown is our center wiper. We can confirm that if we plug that in and then rotate it. And there we have it. Now it is similarly a pretty good guess that the other two will follow the same color convention. That is, red and orange will be the outer bounds. Well, this time we're at 45.6. And now we're at 36.8. Let's see here, this is right, but it's flipped over, so this is the right. This is the right. So this should change. There we have it. And finally, the left. So red to orange, we should be seeing about 50 kilo ohms. 51.2. All right, we have our color pattern for this board. Effectively, we can unplug these at this point, because all we want is this board. The other one's a bit bigger, so I better make some room for it. And a 1, and a 2, and a 2.5. Ah, gotcha. Ah, this looks fun. Let's get started on this. Oh-ho! Aha! Yee-hee! Ooh-woo! Ooh-hoo! Oh-ho! Now, clearly, this is a more serious piece of kit. So, in order to get this thing apart, I'm going to have to pull out this pin, get this nut off. I'm going to have to remove this spring. And yeah, we can see the potentiometer here for the pivot. As for what's in the pedals, I don't know. Well, let's hop to it. There we go. We have exposed the inner workings. Now this here is a lot more what I expect to see. All right, so let us test one of these. I can't actually tell what this goes to, but it's not this. It obviously goes to one of the two pedals. How do I label this? We will label it like that. So let's see here. So that would be like this. So these two are 23.1. These two are 31.6. And the overall 47.4. Alright, so that tells me this one is following the standard pinout, so that our center pin is in fact our wiper. So let us test that theory. There we have it. As expected. We can be pretty sure the right pedal is going to follow the same layout as the left one. So the next thing to do is going to be to extricate this board. Alright, we need to get this board off. Because this one is soldered directly on, we need to cut these leads, and we're going to want to be able to reuse the leads from this board, potentially. And also there's a power LED here. That's not going to be used, I guess. So we need to cut the leads from this to the board. Then we have to put the other board in here and wire everything up, and Bob's your uncle, Molly's your aunt. At least until the surgery. Also, since we did determine this one is for the right, I should make sure to label it as... I appear to be one step ahead of myself. That's elastic's going to be a pain. We'll have to get to that. But the first thing that we're going to need to do is we're going to need to cut off these leads. I mean, these are just analog sensors and an LED, and there's no power going to it, so I'm sure there's no problem with me. Well, that was exciting. So now we have a bit of a conundrum. Wiring this one up is going to be no problem. We obviously know which lead is which. That's easy enough to figure out. Wiring these ones up is going to be a little more tricky. Now, we do have the option to actually take these receptacles directly off of the board. These actually, they're just 3 pins soldered in. Or we could just use some jumper wires to go from this to the board where they're going to live. I'm going to ponder this, and as soon as I have an idea, you'll be the first to know. Okay, before we worry too much about final attachments in this, we should really temporarily wire everything up and make sure it's, you know, actually gonna work. Essentially what we have here is the need to wire things up to a total of 9 pins. Now, I have some special wires for this purpose. I don't have all of my wires handy, which is something of disappointment. Oh, here's a few of them. So these wires are male on one end and female on the other. So I can use it to essentially adapt between the existing stuff we have. So in essence, looking back at my slip of paper, and then realizing I don't remember which of these layouts is which. This board gives me no clues. Let's take a look at the other board. Ah, now here we have some clues. We have VCC and ground marked on both of these. VCC would be the positive end, ground would be the negative end, and then obviously the center one is our wiper pin. So that means both of these connectors here have the wiper in the center pin. So that must be this one, which I appear to have misplaced my pen. We can use this. S for SciTech, T for Thrustmaster. There we go. So essentially, from the SciTech board, we will want to... Well, we've got left and right, so we'll start with that. Let's start with left. So that should be facing this way. So... But that... Oh, I have that marked by color. But I can figure this out because we can look at the traces on the back. I should be able to easily determine which of these is which. Okay, I have determined that the pin closest to this side is our center pin. So I'm just gonna plug the stuff I know works in now for the center pin. The other two don't actually matter as much. Okay, managed to find a precious few more of them. I suppose it doesn't matter which one of these is which, as long as they're consistent, because we can always reverse the polarity if necessary. Green is green like the ground, so we'll use that color. And blue, I don't know why I'm using blue, but I'm using blue. Haha! Okay. Alright, next thing that we're going to need to do is worry about this connector, which is not, as the observant of you may have noticed, currently a connector. So we're going to change that. I think for the time being, probably makes the most sense to solder this. Maybe even with some heat shrink. Both systems initiated. Okay, this is going to be a pain. Yep. Pain confirmed. I can't even see it at this angle. Finally. Let's hope the other two go a little easier. Yeah, I'll take it. Not my cleanest work. Alright, now we need to create some ends for it by either we could use this, or I do have a crimping tool that has some of these ends pre-made. I'm going to try and use these so I can maybe just make an adapter for this. Now, I have only used this thing once before, but it went well. So I know that I want to preload this in here first. I will start by preloading the tip into the grip, then I will feed the wire through, and then I will clamp it. Now the real problem I have here is I can't see shit. The smart person might remove this and do it where they can see it. I never claimed to be a smart man. Wolf. Well, well, 2 out of 3 ain't bad. We know the center wiper pin is this one. And these other 2 for the center really doesn't matter. But what does really matter is we want to make sure these guys don't come in contact with each other. So the pins themselves hold them far enough apart there, but I need some way to hold them far enough apart here so that they don't end up running into each other, because that would not work well. To do that, I'm probably looking at hot glue for the easiest solution, which means I'm going to have to go get my hot glue gun. Be right back. It's not the size that counts, it's how you use it, right? Well, I can't find my bigger one at the moment, which is actually a two-pronged problem, because this tiny one I only have the existing glue stick for, which is not much. Fortunately, I don't need much. So we will allow this to warm up. Now, while that is warming up, I can go ahead and attach rest of... How am I already missing a wire? No idea how I did that. Maybe I ought to hot glue these ones in place too. Okay, as we recall, yellow is the center. Okay, that one's right, so this one's left. Yellow is the center. And then black and red, it really doesn't matter which is which, as long as we're consistent. So I'm going to put red on this side because of reasons that even I don't fully understand, and I'm going to put black on this side. Alright, so again for this side, yellow is the center. Red is blue in this case, and green, wouldn't you know it, is this side. Isn't that pretty? Well, isn't that something? We'll go with that. Now I have that friggin' grease on my hands too. Alright, now it's just a matter of waiting for the hot glue to hot. Which as of yet, it is not. Oh, and as a little aside, I just found the biggin. I love the smell of hot glue in the morning, in the early afternoon. This is my grizzled guy voice. Alright, we should be able to continue this mitigated disaster, maybe we'll call it. Okay, let's... And out from under there, and over here. Now I officially need 3 hands. I have a third eye, but, you know, due to an unfortunate lawn darts incident. Is Pumpkin Plunger gonna save the day? Oh my god, Pumpkin Plunger saves the day. Okay, that shot right in there. What? I no longer want to use Pumpkin Plunger because this thing just sunk right into where I'm pretty sure the heating coil is. We're gonna switch to the big boy. Because, I mean, look at what we got here. Look at what we got here if I move the focus in the right direction. The big boy is not just simmering. He's red and hot, and he has a lot more sticks of white stuff, not sticky white it is... I'm gonna shut up now. Alright, I think we're sufficiently hot, and I know we're plenty bothered. And you know what? This stuff isn't too hard to get off, so let's just secure these other two in place. Once that cools, I think we're good to test. And in fact, if this works, I might just leave it like that, I don't know. Thought about it. What happened to the small one is that there's like a tube inside here that heats up, and that's what melts the glue. And you'll notice the glue is really yellow looking on the tip here. It's, oh, I should see a doctor about. Anyway, I was at a convention where I accidentally left this thing plugged in like all day, and all of the glue kept dripping out of it. It formed a glue cavern, a bubble inside here when all the glue ran out. So what I saw poking out the end, that's all that was left, and I plunged right inside when I tried to use it. So that explains that. Now then, this is still a bit tacky, but it's cool. Tacky and cool, that describes... Never mind. Let's get this plugged back in, hopefully. I hope this gear mesh didn't move, because it looks slightly off from where I would expect it. Any dang way. Now we need to figure out... I think for now this board is just going to have to free float. None of the screw holes come close to lining up with it, so we'll deal with all this in a moment. Let's get this thing quite literally back on track. All right, let's go test her out. What? Properties, right? Left pedal, nothing. Right pedal, nothing. Nothing. Wait a minute. T rudder. Alright. That looks more like it. Left pedal. Right pedal. Okay, right pedal's good, left pedal's not responsive. Rudder. That's interesting. It's moving the wires around when I do that. Alright, well, right pedal works. Rudder is, yeah. Left pedal, nothing. It's a start. Okay, so I did not have the microphone turned on for a lot of this, so I'm going to have to guess what I was talking about. So here I'm talking about how the rotation is moving the wires, and I think it's causing an issue with the connectivity. So I'm going to go ahead and disassemble again. I was a little bit worried at this point because one of the wires kind of got pinched there. And then the thing let go and I kind of yanked on the wire, and I'm a little concerned that might have caused, well, some of what I know will be problems. So at this point I'm deciding that I don't think my crimps were very good, so I'm going to redo them. I'm going to pull off the hot glue and at least redo the center crimp. That was the one that I had the least amount of faith in. And at this point I'm saying I hope I get this right. I'm going to redo all 3 crimps so that they're the same length, but I don't have a lot of wire to work with, so I can't really afford to screw up. So about here it's occurring to me that I can, instead of making an adapter, I can take the pins out of the existing housing because it's a snap fit into those things, and then I can simply slide the pins right onto the connectors in the correct order, cover it with hot glue, and then effectively I have built my brand new cables. Naturally, after saying the hot glue wouldn't stick too hard, I had a lot of trouble getting it off. So about here I'm wondering how exactly I'm going to mark the wires, and then I figure out I can just simply do one at a time. Take one wire out, move it to the correct position, take the next wire out, move it to the correct position, so on and so forth. I'm debating the best way to get the pins out, and eventually I decide to simply cut the existing connector instead of trying to move the tabs around to get it out, because at this moment I don't have tools fine enough to be able to do that. And as it turns out, the fit is quite good. It holds on very securely to the pins, so I am not overly worried about the connection. So about here is where I make a critical realization. This is the point I realize I had the microphone turned off that entire time. Why do I have this sudden inescapable feeling that I have done this wrong? I totally have. These are backwards. Okay. No harm, no foul. Perfect. Next thing to do is to look at this again. We need to decide with this if we're going to leave it in place or if we're going to desolder it and solder the wires directly to the board, as is how it was originally done. I could potentially still wire up this LED too. It should function under the voltage level that's coming through. Yeah, I'm not too worried about the LED. No one's gonna see it where it is. Well, big red boy seems warm. So we'll get those 2 custom connectors done. Booyah! Booyah! Oh god, that is not a natural way to twist. I still like the idea of using stuff. I still like the idea of using the connectors. For one thing, it gives us the option to go back on this if we should so desire at some point. And this grease, I don't mind telling you, is getting all over my hands. So ultimately, I think what is the problem here, if I can zoom down in on this, is one of these connectors, the green one, which is this one here, I stuck the wire through too far, and where it crimped down, it didn't actually make contact with the copper, or the whatever wire this is, it might be zinc. And I couldn't pull this connector off. It was, you know, crimped down really well. So what I'm thinking here is that I'm going to cut these connectors off and try another set of connectors immediately below them. That's going to lose me a ½ inch of wire, but it should otherwise be okay. Now let's get our artisanal, locally sourced stripper. Can you tell what game I've been playing lately? I did use manual strippers for years. In fact, usually I would use a pair of scissors to do my wire cutting. God, I love this thing so much. I'm never going back. I know that may make me a heathen in some people's eyes, but whatever, it's my tool set. The other thing I'm realizing as I do this is that I've got that grease all over my hands, and I may have just... Wow, that moves easily. I may have just rubbed grease all over those wires. Well, let's start with the crimping, and if necessary, we might add some solder in there as well. I mean, I've got it fired up and ready to go. Now, if this one doesn't work, I'm probably at the point where I'm going to need to replace these wires because they're just starting to get too short. And this board is really in the wrong orientation here. Good crimp for the first one. Sorry you can't see what I'm doing for this here. Not that there's entirely much to see. Looks like a good crimp on the second one. Now, the one thing I will say about this crimping process, you really cannot do this without the proper tool. Alright, I'd say we've got a good crimp on the third one as well. Oh, it did come out a little crooked somehow. Yeah, I'm sure it'll be alright. Next thing, let's get this back in place. Those gears look good and centered to me. Now then, the next step is to connector up. Get it? Connector. Okay, I don't know what happened to this green one, but the way it flexed, it won't even grab, so... Alright, I'm going to try to pull it off without breaking the wire. And I'm also noticing that the green one should have been the middle one, not the end one. Okay, we got it off. I lost a little bit of the copper in the process, so I'm going to re-strip this one and hope being that short isn't a problem. There's not a whole lot of it to lose on these wires, for crying out loud. Alright, once more onto the breech. I went in too far again. Shut up. This is officially way too short. I need to replace this wire. Well, the existing solder joints look good and steady. At least that's a plus. Okay, you will have to temporarily be out of my way. for what I'm doing, we need hands. And I just put mine right in a big glob of that stuff again. Okay. This solder has got to be nearly 10 years old, if not more, so I'm going to add some fresh stuff to it. That'll loosen it up a bit. Perfect. Let's get ye old solder sucker. It's sucker the solder. I'm sure I've made that joke before. It works a lot better if I don't get my finger in the way of the plunger. Perfect. Okay, figure out the length of this I want. About up to there. Chompy chompy. Easy as that. Now we can even go back over with some more hot snot. Boom. And now we will try once more to crimp this damn thing. Couldn't help but notice the end of it bent again, so I better make sure it's actually going to grab. Oh my god, let's see what I did. I had it in slightly too far and it actually crimped the end of this closed, and that's why it bent down like that. That's what happened. Alright. How do I open that up? Things no one has ever asked of. Alright, it's no idea. I have no option but to do this one again. Well, the experience is good, I suppose, for the next time I need something with, you know, more than 3 pins. Now we have a good connection. The problem is it's a lot shorter. We're gonna hope. If this doesn't work, well, I have more wire. It's just annoying. Okay, so you two are the 2 far ends, and you definitely wanting to go underneath here are going to be the center. Oh my god, this is a pain. These wires just want to stick together. Hopefully that got down between them. In theory, we have our 3 connectors done. Now, I would still like some way to secure that board down. Interesting question, do I have a drill bit that size? That board was originally held down with these silver screws. And yes, that'll work. For that, I shall need the actual drill, because my motorized screwdriver can't hold a drill bit. Alright, I'm going to go as close to this spot as I can. And we're going to dump fiberglass dust all over the inside of this because, you know, why not? there was a little registration pin there. Perfect. Now, I can take you back. I need to get you on here again. All right, here's the last one. All right, here we go. T-rudder properties. Left toe. Nothing. Right toe. Works. Rudder. I don't know what to make of that. Left toe is completely out. The right toe is the only thing working, and it is working very well. Thanks for watching. We'll have to come back to this another day.